Hey everyone, so we're finally on to the final manufacturer of the Expo, and today is MISC's day, and they actually had a pretty exciting announcement of a new ship earlier, and it looks like that's going to be available in the Holo Viewer Hall, so I'll give my thoughts on that later once we get to it. But MISC also has a lot of ships that are in-game already, so we'll take a look at those first. Off here to the left, we'll start with a very solid ship in the form of the Prospector. This is a entry-level mining ship, but you can get a lot done with it, and it's a decent value both in and out of game. And yeah, you can use it to make quite a few credits, cracking some rocks. Over to the right here, we have all the Razors. So this is the base variant of the Razor. The Razor is a racing ship. It's designed to compete with other ships in this sort of size category, so stuff like the Origin M50. And you can see that with the carbon fiber that it's made out of, and it's just overall sleek and small profile. This is the Razor LX, which I guess is the luxury variant of the Razor. So it comes with a different paint job by default and a slightly different interior, I believe, but it's mostly the same ship. And then here we have the Razor EX, which is a stealth variant, and I guess it uses the small profile and already efficient design of the Razor and uses stealth components along with that to make it have a really small signature. And then also the speed should be helpful in the case that you get discovered. You should be able to escape and use its racing capability to get out of wherever you are quickly. Then in the middle here, it looks like this year they've chosen to show off the Starfarer Gemini, which is the militarized variant of the Starfarer. And this is a refueling platform, but you can see it's pretty well defended. This is a dual size 5 turret up there. The pilot also has quad size 4 weapons, but then around back you can see the real feature of the ship are these massive tanks. These can be used to store most types of gas, but they're most often used for hydrogen fuel. And hopefully soon we'll be able to use this rear platform here for refueling other ships. And that'll be a lot more useful once we get to places like Pyro, where there's a lot less infrastructure, and player-to-player refueling will be useful, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. Then in this room off to the right, we have all of the Reliant models. Starting with this one to the left here, this is the Reliant Mako. This is basically Star Citizen's news van, and eventually it'll let you direct some sort of broadcast. And at the moment, it does have a special sort of remote turret that just gives you a camera view in the game. But yeah, this is definitely a very unique ship and a very unique gameplay loop that it fills, so I'll be interested to see what that's like once it comes online. Then right behind that is the Reliant Sen. This is supposedly a science ship, and we don't really have any science gameplay online yet either, but this will be the ship that you'll get into it as a starter ship if you happen to pick one of these up, and it should have some of the features to get you started in that profession. In the middle here, this is the Reliant Tana. This is a decent combat ship, especially for PvE missions, just because it has a ton of hardpoints and can put out a ton of damage, but it does have a pretty large profile, so if you're going against players, there's a lot of surface area to get hit. But yeah, it has all that firepower, and like all the other Reliants, it's got a pretty decent living space in the back, so it's a pretty solid starter ship if you're looking to do some combat. And then the Kore over here is the hauling variant, so it replaces most of that internal space that is used for crew area and the other variants for cargo space. So yeah, this is a lot of cargo in a small ship, and once higher value commodities are available for trading, you should be able to make a lot of profit doing that. And yeah, I forgot to mention, but all of the Reliant series share the feature that their wings rotate up to a vertical position when they're flying, which is pretty cool. There's not many ships in the game that transform like that, and it reminds me of something like a B-Wing from Star Wars. And then in this room over here, we have all of the Freelancer variants. Starting with the MISC here, as you would expect from the name, this is the missile-focused variant of the Freelancer and just overall combat-focused. Unfortunately, with the ballistic changes, you don't get the stock loadout of 4 Gatlings like you used to, which was one of the cool parts of the ship, but it's still got a pretty cool paint job, a ton of missiles for a ship this size, and it still has a decent amount of cargo in the back. So it's still a Freelancer with a wide range of capabilities. It just focuses more on combat than the other variants. And then this here is the Freelancer MAX. So the Freelancer MAX shares a lot of the same profile as the other Freelancers with the front section here, but in the rear it's got larger engines and a much larger cargo bay, and this allows it to carry a lot more cargo, but also it allows it to much more easily carry a ton of vehicles, because the width on the normal Freelancers can make it pretty hard to park even Cyclone or rock-sized vehicles. They can barely fit in, but you have to line it up very carefully. But with the Max here, you can see that there's obviously plenty of space. This is the Freelancer DUR. This is an exploration variant, and it's also just designed to be able to fly for a pretty long time without refueling. I believe it has onboard facilities for adding to its range, so it can fly much further than you'd usually be able to in a ship of this size. And this ship should be a pretty good entry point into the exploration gameplay loop. And then here is the base Freelancer, and this is a pretty solid ship. Some people aren't a fan just because of the poor cockpit visibility and just overall design aesthetic, but it gives you a reasonable amount of cargo space, a lot of pilot weaponry, and decent shielding, and you even get a turret on the back, so it's a pretty nice ship and is a good alternative to something like a Cutlass. Alright, let's head downstairs to take a look at those holo viewer models, which I believe there are 4 of today. Alright, so starting off with a pretty big ship, this is the Odyssey. Like it says in the description here, this is one of the most used cargo ships in the verse, and that's because it offers a massive amount of cargo capacity, but it's not too gigantic like the Hull D and Hull E to where it's unnecessary for most size shipments. Also, the Hull C I believe is the largest of the Hull series that can land planet side, although obviously it can't do that when it has these lower spindles filled with cargo. But yeah, like the rest of the Hull series, it's a ship that's just designed to carry as much cargo as possible. And it might not be the most well protected because it's carried externally and on these large spindle devices, but it should be the most economic way to get something from A to B. And here we have the smallest of the Hull series, the Hull A. This obviously can't carry as much as something like a Hull C, but compared to anything else in its price or size category, it carries way more cargo, but with the usual Hull trade-off of having to carry it externally and not having all that much protection. But when you're dealing with something this small, you'd probably be fine, and this ship is going to be a fun way for people to get started hauling. Now here we have one of MISC's most anticipated ships, the Endeavor, and the Endeavor is just supposed to be a modular ship, and it's going to be able to do pretty much anything if you equip it with the right modules. Maybe not combat, but pretty much anything else, and it should be a very unique ship with kind of unmatched science capabilities because it has some modules that are explicitly made for that and are going to be pretty useful, like the massive biodomes that it's usually pictured with. But yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing this ship for a long time, but it'll definitely be exciting when we do. Now we get to the newest addition to the MISC lineup. This is the MISC Odyssey. And I think I'll be doing a more in-depth video on this later, but it's sort of a Carrack competitor with a slightly different focus. So it focuses a lot more on mining, and it also has a built-in refinery that's able to refine Quantanium. So I think this is a little annoying just because that was supposed to be a feature of the Starfarer, which they removed, and then now they've ported it over to this ship. But if you ignore that, it's a capable ship. It's got a larger hangar than the Carrack. It's a standard extra small size hangar, so it should fit most fighters, like something like a Polaris would. It also has a tier 2 medical bed just like the Carrack, has slightly less cargo, but it's got a large vehicle bay, and like I mentioned, it's got those mining and refining features. So yeah, this is an interesting ship, and it's definitely coming in at a hefty price point, but it does seem like it has the features to justify that. So yeah, I'll be interested in hearing what they have to say with the Q&A, and after we get that, I'll probably be making a more in-depth video on it. But yeah, this is a very interesting ship for MISC, and looks like a solid Carrack alternative or competitor. Alright, so that's it for today. As for the sale, I believe the Warbond daily discount is the Razor, so again, if you're looking to make a CCU chain, then that could fit in pretty nicely because it's not too high in value. As for buying the Razor itself, it's not the best value for real currency, and I'd probably earn something like that in game. And then all of the Hull series ships have slightly increased in price, or largely increased in price. So the Hull C I think is mainly because that should be coming in game pretty soon, and it is a very capable ship. So yeah, I'd say it's still probably worth it at those increased prices, but I'd also probably recommend getting a CCU to one now if you plan on having one once those come out, because I don't think they're going to be getting any cheaper. As for the Odyssey, I think it's priced kind of high for this initial concepting, but it is going to be a very capable ship from what it seems like. So yeah, I guess if it interests you, then it's probably worth picking one up now. So yeah, what do you guys think about the new Odyssey? And did you end up getting any MISC ships today? Alright, so now I want to thank my members, Starjump Starlet, Great Watch 93, and Dexion Orion. Thank you all so much for supporting me, and if any of you want to support the channel, you can do that by hitting the like or subscribe button, which I really appreciate, or if you really want to help me out, you can become a member with the join button. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the expo, and thanks for watching.